Ilara traced the swirling nebulae on her bedroom wall, her finger following the bright paths of charted star systems. This wasn't just any decoration, it was a meticulously rendered galactic map, a gift from her grandfather, a retired astrophysicist. Unlike the simplified versions they used in school, this one was detailed, almost alive. But it had a problem, a glaring, frustrating problem. It ended. Right at the edge of human-controlled space, the vibrant colors faded into a stark, empty black. Beyond that line, nothing. No stars, no planets, no swirling cosmic dust, just a void. Everyone else seemed perfectly content with this abrupt ending. They accepted it as the natural boundary, the edge of the known universe. But not Ilara. She spent hours studying the map, her imagination soaring beyond that dark edge. What was out there? New worlds? Alien civilizations? Dangers untold? The possibilities were endless, and the silence on the map was deafening. Ilara was a dreamer, a stargazer, a question-asker. In a society that valued conformity and stability, her relentless curiosity often got her into trouble. She peppered her teachers with questions they couldn't answer, challenged accepted truths, and generally made a nuisance of herself, though always with a charming smile. Her room, a vibrant explosion of scientific posters and hand-drawn star charts, was a testament to her inquisitive nature. Telescopes of varying sizes cluttered the windowsill, pointed towards the night sky, always searching, always hoping. The galactic map was more than just a pretty picture to Ilara, it was a challenge. It was a mystery begging to be solved. It was a silent promise of adventure waiting to be fulfilled. She couldn't understand why no one else seemed bothered by the map's abrupt end. Didn't they wonder what lay beyond? Weren't they curious about the unknown? Every night, before she went to sleep, Ilara would stand before the map, her eyes fixed on that dark, empty space. "I'll find out what's out there," she whispered to the stars. "I promise." And in her heart she knew that she would. The mystery of the missing galaxies was a pull too strong to resist. Her adventure was about to begin, and the universe, whether it liked it or not, was about to be explored. The galactic map, displayed in every classroom, printed on posters, and even woven into tapestries, was a masterpiece of cartography. It showcased the sprawling network of human-colonized star systems, meticulously detailing each planet, moon, and asteroid belt. The colors were vibrant and distinct. Warm yellows and oranges for the densely populated core worlds, cool blues and greens for the newly terraformed outposts, and purples and reds marking regions rich in rare minerals. Navigational routes, trade lanes, and communication relays were clearly marked, creating a sense of order and control. The map was a symbol of humanity's expansion, its triumph over the vastness of space. It represented safety, security, and the comfort of the known. But then came the edge. A hard, unforgiving line where the vibrant colors bled into an absolute, impenetrable black. It wasn't a gradual fade or a murky transition, it was a sudden and complete cessation of detail, as if the artist had simply run out of ink. This stark boundary was the edge of human-controlled space, the limit of their charted territory. Beyond this line, the map offered nothing. No stars, no nebulae, no potential dangers or rewards, just an empty void. What was truly remarkable, however, was the widespread acceptance of this incomplete picture. Everyone, from the highest-ranking officials to the lowliest space janitors, seemed to take it for granted. "That's just the way it is," they would say with a shrug. "We haven't explored beyond that point yet." The official explanation was that charting new territories was a costly and time-consuming endeavor. Resources were better spent consolidating existing colonies and improving infrastructure. There were also whispers of potential dangers lurking in the unknown, risks that outweighed the potential rewards. But Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to it than that. It wasn't just a matter of resources or risk assessment. There was a subtle, almost imperceptible sense of avoidance, as if people were deliberately turning a blind eye to what might lie beyond the edge of the map. The acceptance was too easy, too unquestioning. It felt like a carefully constructed narrative, designed to keep people from asking too many questions. And Ilara was determined to find out why. The beautiful, detailed map was a lie, she suspected, a comfortable lie that hid a much more unsettling truth. The neat and tidy picture of human expansion was incomplete, and she was going to discover what was being deliberately left out. The next day in class, Ilara saw her opportunity. History of galactic expansion was her favorite subject, mostly because it was taught by Master Anya, a woman whose face was a roadmap of wrinkles earned from years of study and contemplation. Anya was known for her wisdom and her gentle demeanor, but also for her unwavering adherence to the established curriculum. During a lesson on the founding of the outer colonies, Elara raised her hand. Master Anya, she began, her voice carefully measured. The map shows a clear end to human-explored space. Why does it just stop? Anya paused, her eyes, usually twinkling with warmth, grew momentarily clouded. A hush fell over the classroom as all eyes turned to Elara. The question, though simple, seemed to carry a weight that no one else dared to acknowledge. Anya cleared her throat. That's a very good question, Elara, she said, her voice a little too steady. As you know, charting the galaxy is a monumental task. What you see beyond the explored territories are simply uncharted territories, areas that we haven't yet had the resources to fully map and understand. Elara pressed further. But haven't we been expanding for centuries? Surely we've explored something beyond that boundary. Are there any records, any expeditions, anything at all? Anya's smile tightened just a fraction. There have been some preliminary surveys, of course, but the results were inconclusive. And sometimes, Elara, Anya leaned forward, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, there are things best left unknown. Some doors are better left unopened. The last sentence hung in the air, heavy with unspoken implications. Elara felt a chill despite the warmth of the classroom. The vague, unsettling answer only fueled her curiosity. It was clear that Anya wasn't telling her the whole truth. Later, after class, Elara approached Anya privately. Master Anya, I don't understand. What kind of things are best left unknown? Anya sighed, her eyes filled with a weariness that belied her age. Elara, you are a bright and inquisitive student, but sometimes curiosity can be a dangerous thing. Trust that the Galactic Council has your best interests at heart. They know what information is safe for the public and what is not. Anya placed a hand on Elara's shoulder, her touch surprisingly firm. Focus on your studies, Elara. Explore the known universe before you try to unravel the mysteries of the unknown. There are plenty of wonders to discover right here. But Elara knew with a certainty that settled deep in her bones that the true wonders lay hidden beyond the dark, empty edge of the map. And she was determined to find them no matter the cost. Anya's warnings had only strengthened her resolve. The door that Anya wanted to keep closed was the very door that Elara needed to open. Anya's cryptic warnings echoed in Elara's mind as she made her way to the Grand Library. It was a colossal structure, a testament to humanity's thirst for knowledge, housing countless volumes, data chips, and holographic recordings spanning millennia. The library was more than just a repository of information. It was a living, breathing entity, a place where the past, present, and future converged. The towering shelves stretched towards the vaulted ceiling, disappearing into the shadows. The air hummed with the quiet energy of countless minds seeking answers, lost in the pages of history and science. Elara felt a sense of awe as she stepped through the grand entrance, her footsteps echoing on the polished marble floor. She knew her search wouldn't be easy. If the Galactic Council was actively suppressing information about the uncharted territories, any records would be carefully hidden, buried deep within the library's vast archives. Elara started with the obvious sections: cartography, astrophysics, and galactic exploration. She spent hours sifting through countless documents, her eyes scanning for any mention of expeditions beyond the human boundary, any hint of what might lie in the darkness. Most of the records were exactly as she expected: detailed accounts of the colonization efforts within known space, technical specifications for starships and terraforming equipment, and philosophical treatises on the nature of the universe. There was nothing, absolutely nothing, about the uncharted territories. It was as if they didn't exist. Frustrated but not defeated, Elara decided to try a different approach. She searched for records of abandoned projects, failed expeditions, and historical anomalies. She delved into the archives of long-forgotten scientific theories and fringe beliefs. She was looking for anything that might offer a clue, a lead, a glimmer of hope. The deeper she went, the more obscure the records became. She found accounts of strange energy readings, unexplained disappearances, and cryptic messages from distant outposts. But none of it seemed to connect, none of it painted a clear picture of what lay beyond the edge of the map. Just as she was about to give up, exhausted and discouraged, she stumbled upon a promising lead, a reference to a restricted section of the library, a place known only as the Forbidden Archives. The entry was vague and heavily redacted, but it hinted at the existence of classified information related to the uncharted territories. Elara's heart leaped with excitement. This was it, she thought. This was where the truth was hidden. But gaining access to the Forbidden Archives wouldn't be easy. It was guarded by layers of security protocols and required special authorization. Elara knew she was about to enter a dangerous game, a game where the stakes were higher than she could possibly imagine. But she was determined to uncover the truth no matter the risk. The The secrets of the uncharted territories were waiting to be revealed, and she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Gaining access to the forbidden archives proved to be a challenge worthy of its name. Elara spent days studying the library's security systems, learning about access codes, biometric scanners, and the intricate network of surveillance drones that patrolled the restricted zone. She even managed to befriend a low-level technician who, unknowingly, provided her with valuable information about the library's internal network. Under the cloak of darkness, Elara bypassed the security systems, her heart pounding in her chest with each successful step. She felt like a spy in a thrilling holodrama, but the stakes were much higher than any game. She was on the verge of uncovering a secret that could change everything she knew about the galaxy. Finally, she reached the entrance to the Forbidden Archives, a massive steel door, sealed with multiple locks and guarded by two imposing security robots. Elara used a combination of her technical skills and the technician's unwitting assistance to disable the robots and override the locks. The heavy door groaned open, revealing a dimly lit corridor that stretched into the darkness. The air inside the Forbidden Archives was thick with dust and the scent of old paper. The shelves were crammed with ancient data chips, crumbling books, and holographic recordings. Unlike the rest of the library, this section felt abandoned, forgotten. As Elara began to explore the archives, she discovered fragmented records and hushed whispers about a great boundary and a forgotten war. The records were incomplete, often heavily censored, but they painted a disturbing picture of a conflict that had taken place centuries ago, a war that had been deliberately erased from official history. She found references to a powerful unknown enemy, a force so terrifying that humanity had been forced to retreat behind a fortified border. The Great Boundary wasn't just a line on a map, it was a defensive perimeter, a shield against a threat that still lurked in the darkness. The more Elara learned, the more she realized the magnitude of the secret she had stumbled upon. The Galactic Council wasn't just suppressing information, they were actively rewriting history, concealing a truth that could shatter the foundations of human society. The records hinted at a technology far beyond anything humanity possessed, a technology that could be used to either destroy or transcend the limitations of the known universe. The Forgotten War wasn't just a battle for territory, it was a struggle for survival, a fight for the very soul of humanity. Elara felt a growing sense of dread as she pieced together the fragmented information. The uncharted territories weren't just empty space, they were a battleground, a silent testament to a war that had never ended. And the enemy was still out there, waiting in the darkness, watching, and perhaps even preparing to strike again. The truth was far more terrifying than she could have ever imagined. But Elara knew she couldn't turn back now. She had come too far, seen too much. The fate of the galaxy might depend on her willingness to uncover the full extent of the secret hidden within the Forbidden Archives. The deeper Elara delved into the Forbidden Archives, the more chaotic the organization seemed. Records were scattered haphazardly, files were mislabeled, and many documents were damaged beyond repair. It was as if someone had deliberately tried to erase all traces of the past, but had only managed to create a confusing jumble of half-truths and forgotten secrets. Amidst the chaos, Elara discovered a small, unassuming data chip tucked away inside a crumbling metal box. The chip was old and damaged, its surface scratched and corroded. It looked like it had been through a war zone. Elara carefully inserted the data chip into her portable reader, her fingers trembling with anticipation. The reader whirred and clicked, struggling to decipher the damaged data. After a few tense moments, a flickering image appeared on the screen, followed by a distorted audio message. The message was garbled and fragmented, but Elara could make out the voice of a frantic man, speaking in hushed tones. "This is Captain Valerius of the Starship Dauntless," the voice crackled. "We have encountered something beyond the border, something powerful." The image flickered again, revealing a brief glimpse of a vast, alien structure looming in the distance, a structure that defied all known laws of physics. It was unlike anything Elara had ever seen, a terrifying monument to an alien civilization far beyond human comprehension. The captain's voice continued, growing more desperate. "We are under attack. Their weapons, they're unlike anything we've ever faced. They're tearing through our shields like paper. We can't hold them off for long." The message became increasingly distorted, punctuated by bursts of static and the sounds of explosions. The council, they were right. We shouldn't have come here. There's something out there, something evil. Then the message cut off abruptly, leaving Elara staring at a blank screen. The silence was deafening, broken only by the whirring of the data reader. Elara replayed the message several times, trying to glean every last detail. The captain's warning was clear. There was a powerful unknown force beyond the human border, a force that posed a grave threat to humanity. The damaged data chip was the proof she had been searching for, the smoking gun that confirmed her suspicions. The Galactic Council wasn't just suppressing information, they were actively concealing a terrifying truth, a truth that could mean the end of everything. Elara knew she had to share this information with someone, but who could she trust? The Galactic Council was clearly complicit in the cover-up, and anyone who questioned their authority was likely to be silenced. She felt a growing sense of isolation and paranoia. She was alone, armed with a dangerous secret and facing a powerful enemy. But she refused to be intimidated. She had come too far to turn back now. The fate of the galaxy might depend on her willingness to expose the truth, no matter the cost. The captain's chilling message left Elara with a desperate need for more information. The fragmented records in the Forbidden Archives were helpful, but they were incomplete and lacked crucial details. She needed to talk to someone who had actually seen what lay beyond the Great Boundary. According to local legends and whispered rumors, there was only one person who fit that description: Captain Rex. A retired space explorer, Rex was said to have ventured far beyond the mapped area, braving the uncharted territories and returning with tales of wonder and terror. But Rex was a recluse, living in self-imposed exile on a remote asteroid mining colony. He was known for his gruff demeanor and his reluctance to talk about his past. Finding him wouldn't be easy, and convincing him to share his secrets would be even harder. After weeks of searching, Elara finally tracked down Rex's location. The mining colony was a desolate outpost, a collection of prefabricated buildings clinging to the surface of a barren asteroid. The air was thin, the gravity was low, and the atmosphere was thick with dust and the smell of metal. Elara found Rex in a dimly lit cantina, nursing a glass of something that looked suspiciously like rocket fuel. He was a grizzled old man, his face etched with wrinkles earned from years of hardship and adventure. He had a cybernetic eye that gleamed in the dim light and a prosthetic arm that moved with surprising agility. Elara approached Rex cautiously. "Captain Rex?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Rex looked up, his cybernetic eye narrowing as he scanned her from head to toe. "Who are you? And what do you want?" he growled, his voice raspy and world-weary. "My name is Elara," she said, holding out her hand. "I've heard stories about you. Stories about your adventures beyond the mapped area." Rex ignored her outstretched hand. "Those are just stories," he said, turning away. "Old wives' tales? Don't believe everything you hear." "But I do believe them," Elara insisted. "I've seen things, Captain. Things that confirm those stories. I know there's something out there beyond the Great Boundary. And I need your help to understand what it is." Rex let out a bitter laugh. "Help? What makes you think I'd want to help you? Or anyone else? I've seen enough of the galaxy to last me a lifetime. I just want to be left alone." "But this is important, Captain," Elara pleaded. "It's about the future of humanity. If what I suspect is true, we're all in grave danger." Rex hesitated, his gaze softening slightly. He looked at Elara, really looked at her, and saw the burning fire of curiosity and determination in her eyes. He recognized that fire because he had once possessed it himself. "Leave me alone, girl," he said finally, his voice less harsh this time. "You're playing with fire. Some things are better left buried." Elara knew she hadn't convinced him yet, but she also knew that she had made a crack in his armor. Rex was reluctant to talk, but she could sense that he knew something that haunted him, and she wasn't about to give up until he revealed it. The fate of the galaxy might depend on it. Elara didn't give up easily. She spent the next few days shadowing Rex, helping him with his chores, listening to his grumbling complaints, and occasionally slipping in a question about his past. She cleaned his dusty living quarters, repaired his malfunctioning mining equipment, and even learned to tolerate the taste of his rocket fuel concoction. Slowly, Rex began to warm up to her. He saw her genuine curiosity and her unwavering determination, and he realized that she wasn't just some thrill-seeking kid. She was genuinely concerned about the fate of humanity. One evening, as they sat watching the twin moons rise over the desolate landscape, Rex finally broke his silence. "All right, girl," he said, his voice softer than Elara had ever heard it. "You want to know what's out there? I'll tell you what's out there. But you're not going to like it." He took a long sip of his rocket fuel and stared out at the stars. "I ventured beyond the boundary years ago. I wanted to see what no one else had seen, to explore the unknown. I thought I was prepared for anything. But I was wrong. Rex paused, his cybernetic eye gleaming with a haunted look. I encountered strange phenomena, things that defied all logic and reason. Energy fields that twisted space and time, planets that shifted and changed before my very eyes, stars that flickered and died in an instant. He shuddered as if reliving a terrible nightmare. And then there were the entities. Beings of pure energy, creatures of living shadow, and machines that were more intelligent than any human. They were hostile. Incredibly hostile. Rex described the technologically advanced entities, their ships sleek and menacing, their weapons capable of tearing through entire planets. He spoke of battles fought in the void of space, of desperate escapes and narrow victories. They wanted something, Rex said, his voice barely a whisper. I don't know what it was, but they were willing to destroy anything that stood in their way. They saw humanity as an obstacle, an infestation to be eradicated. He explained how he barely escaped with his life, his ship crippled, his crew decimated. He had limped back to human space, carrying a warning that no one wanted to hear. The Galactic Council dismissed my claims as the ravings of a madman, Rex said bitterly. They said I had suffered from space madness, that I had imagined the whole thing. They stripped me of my rank, confiscated my ship, and told me to keep my mouth shut. He looked at Alara, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and regret. They don't want anyone to know what's out there, girl. They think they can contain the threat, that they can hide behind the great boundary forever. But they're wrong. The enemy is out there, waiting, and one day they're going to come for us all. Alara listened in stunned silence, her mind reeling from Rex's revelations. The data chip, the fragmented records, Rex's testimony, it all painted a terrifying picture of a galaxy far more dangerous than she had ever imagined. But now she knew the truth and she knew what she had to do. The time for hiding was over. The time for action had come. But why? Alara asked, her voice filled with disbelief. Why would the Galactic Council keep something like this a secret? Why would they risk the safety of the entire galaxy? Rex sighed, running a hand through his thinning hair. It's simple, really, he said. Control. The Galactic Council is obsessed with maintaining order and stability. They believe that the best way to do that is to keep the population in the dark. He explained that the Council feared that the truth about the dangers beyond the Great Boundary would cause widespread panic and chaos. They believed that if people knew about the existence of a powerful, hostile alien force, they would lose faith in the Council's ability to protect them. They think they're doing what's best for us, Rex said, his voice laced with cynicism. They think they're protecting us from ourselves. But they're wrong. Fear is a powerful weapon, but it's also a dangerous one. It can paralyze people, make them vulnerable. Rex explained that the Council had implemented a sophisticated system of censorship and propaganda to suppress any information about the uncharted territories. They controlled the media, the educational system, and even the flow of scientific research. They've rewritten history, erased records, and silenced anyone who dared to question their authority, Rex said. They've created a world where people are content to live in ignorance, blissfully unaware of the dangers that lurk just beyond the horizon. Alara was horrified. She had always trusted the Galactic Council, believing that they were acting in the best interests of humanity. But now she realized that they were motivated by fear and a desire for control. But what about the cost? Alara asked. What about the lives that have been lost? What about the potential for discovery and advancement? Isn't it worth the risk to explore the unknown? Rex shrugged. The Council doesn't see it that way, he said. They believe that the risks outweigh the rewards. They're willing to sacrifice everything, freedom, knowledge, even lives, to maintain their power. He looked at Alara, his eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and admiration. You're different, girl, he said. You're not afraid to ask questions, to challenge authority, to seek the truth. You have the courage to face the unknown, even when it's terrifying. Rex paused, his gaze hardening. But you need to be careful, he warned. The Council won't hesitate to silence you if they think you're a threat. They'll do whatever it takes to protect their secrets. Alara nodded, her resolve strengthened by Rex's words. She knew that she was facing a powerful and ruthless enemy, but she refused to be intimidated. The truth was too important to keep hidden. The fate of the galaxy might depend on her willingness to expose the Council's lies. And she was ready to fight for it. Alara knew she couldn't keep this information to herself. The weight of the galaxy's fate was too heavy to bear alone. She needed to share her findings with someone she trusted, someone who could help her decide what to do next. She chose her two closest friends, Kai, a brilliant engineer with a knack for fixing anything, and Lyra, a skilled diplomat with a gift for persuasion. They were both intelligent, resourceful, and fiercely loyal. Alara knew she could count on them no matter what. She arranged a secret meeting in an abandoned observatory on the outskirts of the city. The observatory was a relic of a bygone era, a testament to humanity's early fascination with the stars. It was the perfect place to discuss a secret that could change the course of galactic history. Alara presented her friends with the evidence she had gathered, the fragmented records from the forbidden archives, the damaged data chip, and Rex's harrowing testimony. She explained everything she had learned about the Great Boundary, the Forgotten War, and the Galactic Council's conspiracy. Kai and Lyra listened in stunned silence, their faces growing increasingly pale as Alara revealed the truth. When she finished, the observatory was filled with a heavy silence, broken only by the distant hum of the city. "This is insane," Kai said finally, shaking his head in disbelief. "The Council is hiding this from us? There's a war going on out there and we don't even know about it." Lyra was more cautious. "This is all very compelling, Alara," she said, "but are you sure about this? Rex is just one man. Maybe he's exaggerating. Maybe he's just mistaken." "I wish I could say he was," Alara replied, "but I've seen the evidence for myself. I've read the records, I've heard the captain's warning. This is real, Lyra. We need to do something." "But what can we do?" Kai asked. "We're just kids. What chance do we have against the Galactic Council?" "That's the question," Alara said. "Do we expose the truth to the galaxy and risk causing widespread panic? Or do we keep it a secret and hope that the Council knows what they're doing?" A heated debate ensued. Kai argued that the truth needed to be revealed no matter the cost. He believed that people had a right to know what was going on, even if it was scary. Lyra, on the other hand, argued that it was too dangerous to rock the boat. She feared that exposing the truth would only lead to chaos and destruction. "Maybe the Council is right," Lyra said. "Maybe we're better off not knowing. Ignorance is bliss, Alara. Why risk everything for a truth that might destroy us?" "Because it's the right thing to do," Alara replied, her voice filled with conviction. "We can't let fear control us. We need to face the truth no matter how terrifying it may be. The future of the galaxy depends on it." The debate continued late into the night with no clear resolution. Alara's friends were torn between their loyalty to her and their fear of the unknown. She knew that whatever decision they made, it would have profound consequences. The fate of the galaxy was in their hands. After days of intense debate, Alara, Kai, and Lyra reached a decision. They couldn't expose the truth to the galaxy without proof. They needed to see for themselves what was out there, to gather irrefutable evidence of the dangers beyond the Great Boundary. That meant venturing into the uncharted territories, a mission that was both incredibly dangerous and strictly forbidden by the Galactic Council. They knew they would be risking their lives, but they were determined to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. The first step was to acquire a spacecraft. They managed to procure an old, decommissioned transport ship from a local junkyard. The ship, affectionately nicknamed Stardust, was rusty, battered, and in desperate need of repair. But it was theirs, and with Kai's engineering skills, they were confident they could get it spaceworthy. The next challenge was to modify the Stardust to bypass the Council's monitoring systems. The Council maintained a tight grip on all space travel, tracking every ship that entered and exited human-controlled space. To slip past their watchful eyes, Alara and her friends would need to equip the Stardust with experimental cloaking technology. Kai spent weeks poring over technical manuals and schematics, scavenging parts from abandoned research facilities and black market vendors. He worked tirelessly, fueled by caffeine and determination, transforming the Stardust into a stealthy exploration vessel. Alara focused on navigation, studying star charts and astronomical data, searching for any clues that might guide them through the uncharted territories. She pored over Rex's accounts, trying to decipher the strange phenomena he had described, looking for patterns and anomalies that might help them avoid danger. Lyra used her diplomatic skills to gather information about the Council's security protocols and surveillance networks. She cultivated contacts within the government, discreetly probing for weaknesses and loopholes in their monitoring systems. Working in secret under the cover of darkness, Alara, Kai, and Lyra transformed the Stardust from a rusty old transport ship into a state-of-the-art exploration vessel. They installed cloaking devices, enhanced sensors, and upgraded weapons systems. They even managed to rig up a makeshift communication array that could bypass the Council's jamming signals. The Stardust was ready. It was a testament to their ingenuity, their resourcefulness, and their unwavering commitment to the truth. They knew they were embarking on a dangerous mission, but they were prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The galaxy was waiting to be explored, and they were ready to answer its call. With the Stardust ready and their hearts pounding with a mixture of excitement and fear, Alara, Kai, and Lyra embarked on their perilous journey. They slipped past the Council's monitoring stations under the cover of darkness, the Stardust's cloaking device shimmering and distorting the starlight around them. As they crossed the great boundary, the familiar constellations of human-controlled space faded behind them, replaced by a vast, empty blackness. The galactic map on their navigation console went blank, a stark reminder that they were now completely on their own. The uncharted territories were nothing like they had imagined. It wasn't just empty space. It was a chaotic realm of swirling nebulae, rogue planets, and gravitational anomalies. The Stardust lurched and bucked as they navigated through the treacherous terrain, their sensors struggling to make sense of the strange phenomena around them. They encountered unexpected challenges at every turn. Asteroid fields that seemed to materialize out of nowhere, radiation storms that threatened to fry their electronics, and mysterious energy signatures that defied all known scientific explanation. One close call occurred when they stumbled upon a derelict space station, its hull riddled with holes and its interior shrouded in darkness. They cautiously entered the station hoping to find supplies or information, but they soon discovered that it was infested with mutated space creatures, grotesque beings that had adapted to the harsh environment of the uncharted territories. They barely managed to escape with their lives, blasting their way out of the station with the Stardust's upgraded weapons systems. The experience left them shaken, but it also reinforced their determination to uncover the truth about the dangers beyond the boundary. Another time, they were pursued by a squadron of unidentified spacecraft, sleek and menacing vessels that seemed to appear out of thin air. The spacecraft were far more advanced than anything they had ever seen, their weapon systems capable of unleashing devastating energy blasts. Kai skillfully piloted the Stardust through a series of daring maneuvers, dodging the enemy fire and using the nebulae as cover. Lyra managed to scramble the enemy's communication signals, preventing them from coordinating their attack. Alara used her knowledge of astrophysics to predict the enemy's movements, guiding Kai through the treacherous terrain. After a heart-pounding chase, they managed to lose their pursuers by diving into a black hole, a risky maneuver that could have easily destroyed the Stardust. They emerged on the other side, battered but alive, grateful to have survived another close call. The journey was taking its toll on them. They were exhausted, stressed, and constantly on edge. But they refused to give up. They knew that the fate of the galaxy depended on their willingness to face the dangers of the uncharted territories. And they were determined to see their mission through to the end. After weeks of navigating the treacherous uncharted territories, Alara, Kai, and Lyra stumbled upon something truly extraordinary, evidence of a lost civilization. They discovered a series of ruined planets, their surfaces scarred and desolate, their once magnificent cities reduced to rubble. The planets were eerily silent, devoid of any signs of life. But as they explored the ruins, they uncovered fragments of a forgotten past, hints of a civilization far more advanced than anything they had ever imagined. They found towering structures that defied gravity, intricate machines that manipulated the very fabric of space and time, and holographic recordings that depicted beings of incredible beauty and intelligence. The technology was breathtaking, far beyond anything humanity possessed. It was clear that this civilization had mastered the secrets of the universe, unlocking powers that were both awe-inspiring and terrifying. But what had happened to them? Why had they vanished without a trace? As Alara, Kai, and Lyra delved deeper into the ruins, they began to uncover a disturbing truth. The civilization had been destroyed by a powerful force, a force that was still lurking in the uncharted territories. They found evidence of a cataclysmic war, a conflict that had unleashed unimaginable destruction. They discovered weapons that could shatter planets, energy fields that could tear apart stars, and strange, alien entities that seemed to be immune to all known forms of attack. The holographic recordings told a chilling story of a civilization that had grown too powerful, too ambitious, too arrogant. They had pushed the boundaries of science too far, unleashing forces that they could not control. And in the end, they had paid the ultimate price. They had been wiped out by a power that was far beyond their comprehension, a power that had reduced their once glorious civilization to dust. Alara, Kai, and Lyra felt a growing sense of dread as they pieced together the story of the lost civilization. They realized that the Galactic Council wasn't just hiding a threat, they were hiding a catastrophe. They were concealing the evidence of a civilization that had been destroyed by its own hubris, a civilization that had served as a warning to all who dared to explore the unknown. The discovery of the lost civilization changed everything. It wasn't just about uncovering a secret anymore. It was about preventing a repeat of history. It was about protecting humanity from the same fate that had befallen this forgotten race. They knew they had to return to human space and share their findings with the galaxy. They had to warn people about the dangers that lurked in the uncharted territories, about the powerful force that had destroyed a civilization far more advanced than their own. The stakes were higher than ever before. The fate of humanity might depend on their willingness to speak out, to challenge the authority of the Galactic Council, and to expose the truth no matter the cost. As Alara, Kai, and Lyra prepared to leave the ruined planets, a chilling presence descended upon them. The Stardust sensors went haywire, alarms blaring as a massive energy signature materialized in front of them. A colossal being emerged from the depths of space, its form shifting and swirling, defying all known laws of physics. It was a being of pure energy, a living embodiment of the force that had destroyed the lost civilization. The being communicated with them telepathically, its voice resonating in their minds, filling them with a mixture of awe and terror. It spoke of its immense power, its ancient origins, and its inscrutable motives. It revealed that it was a guardian, a protector of the universe, tasked with preventing civilizations from growing too powerful, from threatening the delicate balance of cosmic order. It had destroyed the lost civilization because they had become a threat, a cancer that needed to be eradicated. The being questioned Alara, Kai, and Lyra, probing their minds, testing their courage and resolve. It wanted to know why they had ventured into the uncharted territories, what they hoped to achieve, and whether they posed a threat to the universe. Alara, Kai, and Lyra stood their ground, facing the being with unwavering determination. They explained that they were not seeking power or conquest. They were simply seeking knowledge, seeking to understand the mysteries of the universe, and seeking to warn humanity about the dangers that lurked in the darkness. They spoke of their belief in freedom, in exploration, and in the importance of learning from the mistakes of the past. They argued that humanity was not a threat, but a civilization with the potential for greatness, a civilization that deserved a chance to prove itself. The being listened patiently, its form shifting and swirling as it considered their words. It sensed their sincerity, their honesty, and their unwavering commitment to their ideals. Finally, the being spoke again, its voice filled with a hint of compassion. It acknowledged their courage and their resolve, but it warned them that the path ahead would be fraught with danger. It revealed that the Galactic Council was not their only enemy. There were other forces at play in the universe, forces that sought to exploit humanity, to control them, and to use them as pawns in a cosmic game. The being offered them a choice. They could return to human space and share their findings with the galaxy, knowing that they would face opposition from the Council and other unknown enemies. Or they could remain silent and allow humanity to continue living in ignorance, blissfully unaware of the dangers that awaited them. The choice was theirs, and the fate of humanity rested on their decision. The being vanished Even after the being vanished, its words echoed in Alara's mind. The choice it offered was impossible. Remaining silent meant condemning humanity to ignorance and potential destruction. Revealing the truth meant facing the wrath of the Galactic Council and other unknown enemies. But Alara knew that there was another option, a third path that the being hadn't considered. They could use their combined intelligence and resourcefulness to outsmart the entity, to prove that curiosity and knowledge were more powerful than fear. She shared her idea with Kai and Lyra, and at first they were skeptical. How could they possibly outwit a being of immense power, a cosmic guardian who had destroyed entire civilizations? But Alara was persuasive. She argued that the being, despite its power, was limited by its own beliefs. It saw the universe in black and white, as a constant struggle between order and chaos. It couldn't comprehend the nuances of human nature, the potential for both good and evil that existed within every individual. Alara proposed a plan to demonstrate humanity's potential for good, to show the being that they were not a threat to the universe. They would use their knowledge of the lost civilization to create a device, a beacon that could transmit a message of peace and understanding to other civilizations throughout the galaxy. Kai embraced the idea wholeheartedly, diving into the task of designing and building the beacon. He used his engineering skills to adapt the lost civilization's technology, creating a device that was both powerful and elegant. Lyra used her diplomatic skills to craft a message that would resonate with other civilizations, a message that emphasized the importance of knowledge, understanding, and cooperation. She drew upon the wisdom of human history, the lessons learned from past conflicts and triumphs. Alara used her knowledge of astrophysics to identify the best location to deploy the beacon, a point in space where its signal would reach the farthest corners of the galaxy. She also devised a plan to shield the beacon from the being's detection using a combination of cloaking technology and gravitational anomalies. Working day and night, Elara, Kai, and Lyra poured all of their energy into the project. They faced countless challenges, technical glitches, and near disasters. But they never gave up. They were driven by their belief in humanity's potential, their determination to prove that curiosity and knowledge were more powerful than fear. Finally, the beacon was ready. It was a testament to their ingenuity, their resourcefulness, and their unwavering commitment to their ideals. They deployed the beacon in the chosen location, activated its signal, and waited. 4. With the beacon deployed and its message sent out into the vastness of space, Elara, Kai, and Lyra turned the Stardust towards home. They had accomplished their mission. They had seen the dangers that lurked beyond the Great Boundary, they had uncovered the secrets of the lost civilization, and they had faced the ultimate test of courage and resolve. But their journey was far from over. They still had to return to human space to confront the Galactic Council and to share their findings with the galaxy. And that was a challenge that was perhaps even more daunting than anything they had faced in the uncharted territories. As they approached the human border, they disabled the Stardust's cloaking device and prepared to face the consequences of their actions. They knew that they would likely be arrested, interrogated, and possibly even imprisoned for violating the Council's strict regulations. But they were prepared to face the music. They had the evidence to back up their claims, the holographic recordings, the sensor data, and their own first-hand accounts of the dangers beyond the boundary. They were intercepted by a squadron of Council warships, their sleek hulls gleaming in the starlight. The warships escorted the Stardust to a secure docking bay where they were met by a team of heavily armed security personnel. Elara, Kai, and Lyra were taken into custody and transported to a high-security detention facility. They were separated and interrogated, each of them facing intense pressure to recant their story and to admit that they had fabricated the whole thing. But they refused to budge. They stood their ground, insisting on the truth, demanding that the Council listen to their evidence and take action to protect humanity from the dangers beyond the Great Boundary. As the days turned into weeks, Elara, Kai, and Lyra faced a difficult decision. The Council offered them a deal: if they agreed to remain silent and to never speak of their experiences in the uncharted territories, they would be released and allowed to return to their lives. But if they refused, they would be branded as traitors, imprisoned for life, and their story would be discredited and suppressed. The choice was theirs: reveal the truth and risk chaos, or remain silent and perpetuate the lie. Elara, Kai, and Lyra. The ethics of knowledge, the importance of exploration, the balance between safety and freedom, these were the questions that were now being debated across the galaxy. People were forced to confront their own beliefs, to question the authority of the Council, and to consider the future of humanity. Elara became a symbol of hope for those who yearned for a more open and transparent society. She inspired a new generation of explorers, scientists, and thinkers who were determined to challenge the status quo and to push the boundaries of knowledge. She faced constant threats and attacks from those who sought to silence her. But she refused to be intimidated. She traveled from planet to planet, sharing her story, inspiring others to speak out, and building a movement for change. Kai used his engineering skills to create new technologies that helped people access information and communicate freely, bypassing the Council's censorship protocols. He became a champion of digital freedom, empowering individuals to share their stories and to connect with others across the galaxy. Lyra used her diplomatic skills to forge alliances with other civilizations, building a coalition of support for humanity's quest for knowledge and understanding. She became a bridge between different cultures, promoting dialogue and cooperation. Together, Elara, Kai, and Lyra sparked a revolution. They challenged the authority of the Galactic Council, they exposed its lies, and they inspired a new era of exploration and discovery. The galactic map was about to get a whole lot bigger. The journey was far from easy. There were setbacks, betrayals, and moments of despair. But Elara, Kai, and Lyra never lost sight of their goal. They believed in the power of knowledge, the importance of exploration, and the potential for humanity to create a better future. And in the end, their courage and their conviction paid off. The galactic debate raged on. The Galactic Council, facing mounting pressure from the galactic population, launched a full-scale campaign to discredit Elara and her friends. They released fabricated evidence, spread rumors and lies, and even attempted to rewrite history to support their narrative. They claimed that Elara was a delusional fantasist, that Kai was a dangerous hacker, and that Lyra was a manipulative agitator. They accused them of treason, sedition, and even collaborating with alien forces. The Council used its control of the media to saturate the galaxy with propaganda, attempting to paint Alara and her friends as villains and to portray themselves as the protectors of humanity. But their efforts were largely unsuccessful. Alara's evidence was too compelling, her story too convincing. The holographic recordings of the lost civilization, the sensor data from the uncharted territories, and the testimony of Captain Rex were difficult to dismiss. Moreover, the Council's attempts to silence Alara and her friends only served to strengthen their credibility. People began to see the Council's actions as evidence of a cover-up, a desperate attempt to conceal the truth. Public opinion began to shift. More and more people started to question the Council's authority, to demand transparency and accountability, and to call for a new investigation into the events beyond the Great Boundary. Scientists, explorers, and historians came forward to support Alara's claims. They shared their own suppressed experiences, their own encounters with strange phenomena and unexplained anomalies in the uncharted territories. They presented evidence of abandoned research projects, classified documents, and whispered rumors that had been circulating for centuries. Emboldened by Alara's courage, other explorers and scientists began to come forward with their own suppressed experiences. They shared stories of strange energy readings, unexplained disappearances, and encounters with unidentified objects in the uncharted territories. Some spoke of being threatened or silenced by the Council, their research projects shut down, their careers ruined. Others revealed classified documents and secret files that confirmed the existence of the Great Boundary and the Forgotten War. One scientist, Dr. Eris Thorne, presented compelling evidence of a powerful energy field that surrounded human-controlled space, a field that seemed to be designed to keep something out. He had been studying the energy field for years, but his research had been repeatedly blocked by the Council. Another explorer, Captain Eva Rostova, shared her harrowing account of venturing beyond the boundary and encountering a hostile alien force. Her ship had been attacked, her crew decimated, and she had barely escaped with her life. The Council had dismissed her claims as the ravings of a madwoman, but now her story resonated with a new sense of urgency. These revelations added significant weight to Alara's claims, making it increasingly difficult for the Council to maintain its narrative. The galactic population began to demand answers, to demand that the Council reveal the truth about the dangers beyond the Great Boundary. Even some members of the Council started to question their own beliefs, to wonder if they had been wrong to suppress information for so long. They saw the growing unrest among the population, the rising tide of dissent, and they realized that they could no longer ignore the truth. The Council was facing a crisis of legitimacy. Its authority was crumbling, its credibility shattered. The galaxy was on the verge of a revolution that would challenge the very foundations of human society. The Galactic Council, facing a complete collapse of its authority, was forced to concede. They launched a full investigation into the events beyond the Great Boundary, releasing classified documents, declassifying